Good morning, Intrepid Impact listeners. This is Jerry Howard. We're here at ESPN Richmond Radio 106.1, the Intrepid Impact Leadership Broadcast. I'm your host, Jerry Howard. I'm excited to bring another episode of the 5 Leadership Voices. If you've been around for the last couple of weeks, you've heard quite a bit about the first 3 leadership voices. And today, like always, we're going to do a recap of those 5 voices because, again, I want you to know them right off the top of your head. I want you to know them by heart. So that way you can better operate and value all the voices that are at your table, whether it's your family table, your larger family table, your work table, the community table, any table that you're sitting at. I want you to know who you're talking to and understand that they have value. Here at the Intrepid Impact team, we are an agency of consultants that values every voice. We know that there is value in every voice, and we want you to know that as well. So thanks for tuning in again here at the ESPN Richmond Radio 106.1 Intrepid Impact Leadership Broadcast. Before we go on, I want to tell you guys a little bit about our agency. Our agency is called Intrepid Impact Team, and we are a team of consultants that believes that there is value in every voice. I'll say it again. Intrepid Impact Team values every voice. And I know that's so important today because there are always louder voices. In fact, today we're going to cover one of the louder voices of all 5. But again, Intrepid Impact Team uses this material and a number of other tools to drive culture shifts by implementing a language of leadership that bridges the gap between what we call carpet people, also known as management, and where the rubber meets the road. Think about it, man. Client interface, personal development, team health all suffer when there's a leadership disconnect. We shatter that glittering image by revealing true authenticity, and we equip business owners, executives, and their teams with the tools to fight for the highest possible good of those they lead. And if you've been on our website, intrepid-impact.com, you might have noticed that little I that we use. We actually got that from a company called Giant Worldwide. Giant is who created all these tools that we use. The 5 voices, the 5 gears, all these leadership tools are used with pictures and videos versus books and lectures. So we use pictures and videos. So this information always transfers down. I work with people as all the way to the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, the lowest pay grades, to help them understand themselves and know that there's value in their voice, not just the leader's voice. So today we're going to talk about the 5 leadership voices, recap all 5, and then we're going to go into the 4th voice. That's the connector voice. Now, the connector voice, I'm going to be a little hard on the connectors because I'm a connector. So I know all the nuances of how the accidental connector might act. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at what the accidental connector might do. But first, let's look at all 5 voices one more time, so that way we can all be on the same page. If you're just tuning in, this is ESPN Richmond Radio 106.1, the Intrepid Impact Leadership Broadcast. And if you haven't heard this show before, we sit at the intersection of all things business, leadership, and faith. I'll say it again. That's faith, leadership, and business. They go together, and you can't have one without the other. I guarantee it. If you have just an ounce of faith, then you pretty much are sure that if you get in your car, it's going to start. You have faith. You walked to the car in an act of faith that the car would start. That's the same faith we use when we embark on as entrepreneurs. We take a new job. Even if we go to a restaurant, we have faith that the food is going to be at the par that we expect, or at least at the taste level we expect, and hopefully not make us sick along the way. Well, that's what we do at Intrepid Impact Team. We help teams get healthy. We help teams get healthy. Teams might come in at an average of, say, 58%. Yeah, that's right. Of all the assessments that Giant Worldwide has done in the last 20 years, the average team health is a 58. That's right. So 58. That means the average is 58. Well, some of them might be lower, right? In order to get the average, some of them have to be a 40 or a 20. And of course, some could be higher as well, 70 or 80. We seek to create 100x leaders. That's 100% healthy. And the X stands for multiplying. If you're a leader that's just adding value to people, that's great. You're making them feel good. You're available to them. Your door's always open. That's wonderful. But your organization and your leaders won't ever grow if you don't learn to multiply good habits. You got to learn to multiply yourself and lead through others so that you can grow. And in business, leadership, and faith, if you're not growing, you're falling, you're failing. You need to be a learner, because there's two types of people. There's learners and there's losers. I don't care if your P&L says that you lost money last year. If you learned, you win. If your scoreboard at the end of the football game says that you have more points than the other team and you didn't learn anything, you're not going to move very far forward. And one day you're going to come down crashing hard. So let's be a great learner. Let's tune in and dig deep on the 5 leadership voices so that we can multiply ourselves, multiply 100% healthy behavior, because we won't always be 100%, but we want to get close to it. We want to get as close as we possibly can. We want to be 100% or in the pursuit of 100% health and multiplying ourselves. So that's the value of the 5 voices. Remember, there's value in every voice. What does Intrepid Impact Team do? Man, we restore trust in leaders. We restore trust in leadership. We restore trust in leaders all across the nation. That is our mission. That is why we exist. And that's what we do. So let's take a look at the 5 leadership voices. First up is the nurturer voice. The nurturer is the quietest voice, but not because they speak softly all the time. They don't whisper. Sometimes they speak normally, but they're just less likely than any other voice to override others. They put others first. 100% of the time, they're thinking of others. And if you can show that you appreciate what they do for others, you can empower them as well. They are champions of people, relational harmony, and values. So do not be the one that violates the values of the nurturer. Why? Because nurturers actually have a very quite a strong warrior spirit if it's in service of others. The example I love to give, and if you've heard before, you'll know this now, that there is one position in the Marine Corps that is not an actual Marine, but they have the same respect, if not more respect, from Marine to Marine or from other Marines, and that is the corpsman. We call them the doc. The doc takes care of Marines. The doc will run into that same gunfire that filled Jerry Howard, Marine, full of bullet holes, perhaps get filled full of bullet holes themselves just to patch up my bullet holes so I can take the hill. Their goal is not to take the hill. Their goal is to ensure that I am well taken care of so that I can take the hill. And by the way, I am a Marine veteran, but I am not a combat Marine. So I don't want to imply that I got shot full of bullet holes. I did not. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, but my unit was non-deployable. So I was at a training command in the Mojave Desert. That's right. So I was in the Mojave Desert for 5 years. God really worked on me there. He taught me how to focus. He helped me not be a college dropout anymore. But that's the thing, is I was not in combat, but I have ultimate respect for those that not only gave their life, but perhaps gave some flesh or a limb or anything, and may suffer today. So I say to you, combat veterans, all veterans, in fact, thank you for your service. And when it comes to service, no voice is better wired for that than the nurturer voice. You might find them in the military, law enforcement. You might find them in HR. Taking care of people is what they're about. They're all about protecting and serving, and they can be some of the most fierce warriors in service of others. Good thing that God created 43% of the population for that, because we certainly need people to take good care of us. 43% of the population speaks nurturer. That's the reason why I tend to spend the longest amount of time on the nurturer voice, not only because some of my closest friends are first voice nurturers, but because they deserve abundant respect. Value that voice. They are the voice of the people. The next voice is the creative voice. Little bit louder, not necessarily in volume, but they're louder than the nurturer in that they will speak up. But they're so often misunderstood because the creative voice is the future-oriented voice. They see the future of people. They see the future of organizations, and they are also champions of organizational integrity. Why? Because they see the future. They can tell if you're going to get off left or right into the gray area of organizational ethics or morals. Very important to listen to that creative voice. Only 9% of the population speaks first voice creative. Why is that significant? Because if they're at the table, you better be listening, because whatever you're doing, they can see the future. Now, you can lead a creative by encouraging them to share their ideas. Not every idea is always the best one. Not every idea is good. But when it comes to integrity, they're going to be able to see it better than you can. So listen up to the creative. They're very future-oriented, and they are champions of future ideas, innovation, and future of people as well. Next voice, the guardian voice. We just finished last week our recap, or our overview of, and our deep dive of the guardian voice. Guardians are champions of due diligence, resources, and efficient systems and processes. Good news here, 30% of the population is a first voice guardian. Wonderful news, because they get the work done. While people like me are on the radio jaw-jacking all day long, these folks get the work done. And that's excellent. My wife is a first voice guardian. Let me tell you, nobody is better at getting things done than she is. Good news, too, because we have 4 kids and she works full time. Let me tell you what, that woman is a champion. But again, due diligence, resources, and efficient systems and processes. Guardians like to be in a process. They like to know the process, and they will get the job done. Champion the guardian, because that's 30% of the population. And they are also very present tense oriented. So you take the nurturers, take the guardians, that's 73% of the population thinks about and is most wired for what is going to happen with people and resources right now. They are asking those very important questions, but they're some of the 3 quietest voices. Now you know why things are so jacked up in politics and business, because nobody's listening to these ever important voices that represent 73% of the population. And then let's not forget out the creative, organizational integrity. How many scandals have we had in just the last 5 years? It keeps coming. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. It is wrought with corruption. Why? Because nobody's listening to these 3 quieter voices on how to protect resources, how to protect people, and see what is important about organizational integrity. Now, these 3 voices that we covered in the last few weeks, that's 82% of the population, folks. We need to listen up. Listen up. Now, the 4th voice, and almost the loudest voice, is yours truly, and that is the connector. The connector is a champion of relational networks, collaboration, and effective communication. Effective communication, and not stumbling over their words on a radio broadcast here, but that's all right. We're all human. And that's the great thing, is that connectors love to connect people. They love to connect ideas, and they love to connect people to people and people to ideas, connecting all day long, love to communicate to others. Big surprise, Jerry Howard is a first voice connector with a radio show here, and they're very future oriented. Very future oriented, always thinking about the future of people and relationships. How does this help the organization? High level of integrity with the connector too, because people, they tend to be in sales, but they don't like the sales mantra. And I'm the same way. I'm good at sales because I'm good at people, but I can't convey a passionate message about something that I don't believe in. So you won't find a connector hanging out in the gray area of ethics, not in something that they're passionate about. That's for sure. However, that is only 11% of the population. So 1 out of 10 people is a connector, right? And they tend to be at the higher levels of leadership and organization because they're effective communicators, quick thinkers. But that's the thing, is they don't have all the pieces to the puzzle. In fact, they're missing 89% of the puzzle in most cases. So connectors, let the other voices go first. Listen to the nurturers. Create the environment that the creatives want to be a part of, and value that guardian voice. Let me tell you, connector, value the guardian voice. We're going to dig deep into the accidental connector today, but the last voice I want to cover is the pioneer. The pioneer is a future-oriented voice, but more when it comes to strategic vision, results, and problem solving. The pioneer loves to solve problems. There is nothing they're better wired for than that. And they have a deep desire to be right that can sometimes make them a little defensive and hard to work with. But again, they've got plan A, plan B, or halfway up the mountain, turned around wondering why you haven't followed them yet. If you know someone like that, they're probably a first voice pioneer. They tend to put achievement over people. And it's not that they don't care about people, they do. They care about people just as much as the rest of the voices, but they can't get their eyes off the goal. They are champions of achievement. So they often measure their worth that way. So just remember, if you're leading a pioneer, you can help them understand that people, values, resources are all very important things. Those are the 5 voices, folks. Oh, let me not forget, the pioneer voice is only 7% of the population. 7%. Now, in America, like I've said before, we tend to have a pioneering spirit. A lot of voices, even like me, thought I was a first voice pioneer. If you are wondering what your voice is, check out the website. It's intrepid-impact.com. Scroll down to the contact page. Right underneath that, it's gonna ask you if you want to take a free assessment. That will bounce you over to my personal coaching webpage, where we have where the giant worldwide system lives, but it's intrepidimpact.giantos.com, and then /5 voices assessment. So you can get there either way. I would just say go to intrepid-impact.com. You can check out our team, check out a video or two, and then scroll down to take your assessment. In 10 or 15 minutes, you will discover your leadership voice, and then you'll know if everything you've been listening to over the last few weeks holds true or not. Again, we always say your assessment only produces the result that your answers give it. So if you're wearing a particular hat when you take that test, your results might be different than your most natural voice. So if you don't like your results, no big deal. Wear the hat for 2 weeks or so, see if it fits. If it doesn't, you can take it again. You can always log back in and take it as many times as you want. And if another voice or voice order seems more appropriate for you, go ahead and pick that one and wear that hat for a while. The point is, folks, nobody can define your voice except you. And remember, we speak all 5 voices. It's just some are a little more natural to us than others. Usually the first 2 on that assessment will be those that are most natural to us. So again, we're here at ESPN Richmond Radio 106.1, the Intrepid Impact Leadership Broadcast. We're talking about the 5 leadership voices and are going to be wrapping up this series in the next few weeks. But today we're honing in on what does an accidental connector look like? Well, folks, I can tell you all about the accidental connector, because the accidental connector will often wear themselves out trying to be a perfect leader for everyone. I can tell you this firsthand, folks. I am not only your host, your business coach, your leadership expert, but I am a failure expert. Why? I think it was because I was wearing the wrong hat all these years. So all these times that I got off track, I was just an accidental connector bouncing around chasing every little thing, whether it's the opposite sex or whether it's some drug or whether it's some experience, who knows? As you know, I'm a certified jail inspector. You can't get there unless you're doing stupid things. So the accidental connector gets very excited and passionate about things and can be all over the place. They might wear their team out by changing and generating new ideas, changing the goalposts, struggling to deliver on time on everything they start. That's why I say I got to give the Marine Corps a lot of credit, not only because it was hard, but because it taught me how to focus. There's nothing better for a connector than a guardian. I'll say it again. There's nothing better for a connector than a guardian, because the guardians don't like to change goalposts. Now, guardians need connectors too. Guardians need connectors to teach them to live a little bit, take a risk or two, get outside the box. Connectors need guardians because connectors need to slow down, think about what they're doing, focus. When I was on active duty in the Marine Corps, I actually had 2 kids in diapers. My wife worked full time, and I actually finished my bachelor's degree finally. I was on the 9-year bachelor program, got an MBA during all that time. Why? Because I listened to my wife, who is a first voice guardian. So connectors, listen to the guardian voice. If you are running an organization and you are a connector, surround yourself with guardians and nurturers, because they will take care of the people and make sure the job gets done. And you are good at encouraging. You are good at encouraging, connectors. So you are a great leader for them, but remember to let them do what they do best. Give them that strategic insight. Pop on that pioneer hat every once in a while. Help them get in the right places. But the accidental connector can often be a hard leader to follow. They often can hint at feedback rather than challenging people directly. And when the hint is not heard, they have a tendency to erupt like a volcano. Sound familiar, connectors? We are going to talk about weapon systems at some point too. I don't have that on the immediate schedule because I want to get some guests in here. Y'all been listening to me jaw jack for months now, but let's get some guests in here. But before we do that, we're going to finish up the 5 voices. Erupting like a volcano is one of the weapon systems of an accidental connector. So if you're a connector and you typically are nice, and the next thing you know, you're jumping over a desk at somebody, yeah, you might be hinting at that feedback and understand, why doesn't anybody understand me? Why aren't they listening? Well, it's because you're hinting and not being direct. So learn how to be direct, connector, like I am right now. Yeah. The Marine Corps, corporate America taught me how to be direct. But see, that's the thing. Nurturers and connectors are really good at bringing tactful words. So once you get good at it, you're actually going to be better wired for it than most of the other voices. So you just got to learn to be direct. Don't hint at feedback and wonder why they can't hear you. Now, when feeling unappreciated, an accidental connector might shift their focus from the team to external relationships and exciting new opportunities. Now you can see why I was bouncing all around in jails all across America, because I was chasing the shiny thing and not learning how to focus. And the last accidental connector point I want you to know is they confuse and exhaust others as they generate new ideas, change goalposts, and struggle to deliver on everything they start. That's the accidental connector, folks. Listen up, connectors. You don't have to be that way. Connectors, you probably are very excited about this show. I know I was. I used to listen to these and podcasts all the time. I still do. Read books all the time. Love new ideas. But I'll tell you, I had to focus. I had to focus. In my business knowledge gain, I had to focus. I read pretty much 1 or 2 books a year now. I, at one point, read 40 books in a year, business books. And that there's nothing wrong with that, except I don't know how you could really digest all that information. And the one book, the greatest book of all time, the #1 selling book, is the Bible. Read that one every day, connectors. God will teach you how to focus. So listen, guys. Listen, ladies and gents. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the guy comment. This is the accidental connector. But just like the accidental version of the other voices, you don't have to be a slave to that. You don't have to be accidental. You can be intentional. And if you're struggling with that and you're a business owner, check out intrepid-impact.com. Hit me up there. Let me know how we can help you. It might just be a quick discovery call to find out you don't need us. Either way, we love to help leaders become intentional. And that's the point of this radio show. So I'll sign off today saying, hey, leaders, Intrepids, make an impact, be a team player, and be intentional. Thanks again. I'm Jerry Howard, ESPN Richmond Radio 106.1, the Intrepid Impact Leadership Broadcast. I'll see you next week.